So speaking of the draft, Shedeur Sanders, bro, in nearly every mock draft that you've seen with Shedeur Sanders, he was slated to go in the first round. And I'm talking about with like 90% of the mock drafts that you've seen out there. Maybe some had him slip into the second. Maybe a few had him to the third. But I was shocked when he didn't go in the first 3 rounds. But then we all had to sit and think about it. Or maybe I should just speak for myself. I had to sit down and think about it. And the NFL have done this before. They did it to Colin Kaepernick, to where it's like, I guess the NFL feels like they're going to make you pay for not going along with the shield, for, I guess, being who you are. Shedeur Sanders, that is. And I thought a lot of stuff with Shedeur Sanders was chicken shit, including anonymous NFL sources. You anonymous fam? All right. They criticize his attitude. Some thoughts about his interview performance. And then some describing it as the worst you ever seen. What's the worst you ever seen? How come you can't just put your name on it then? But, be that as it may. And then there's a report specifically about the New York Giants and what he did allegedly in their pre-draft meeting.
Look, I think everything that people came out and said about the pre-draft process, the meetings, just how he rubbed teams the wrong way. I truly believe that. And, there's also been reports out there now that, in particular, the Giants, in a meeting with the Giants, he allegedly got up on the board and wasn't fully prepared for an install. And, again, allegedly had kind of an exchange with Brian Daboll where I don't think he was happy. It sounds to me like basically he wasn't fully prepared for it. This is what's being alleged. Brian Daboll wasn't happy with that. And then they it sounded like it got tense. And I can tell you right now, if that's true, and again, it's out there, one of the easiest ways to get teams to pass on you is to not do well in a situation where they're asking you to do an offensive install in front of them and you don't do it well, and then you have a problem with the fact that you were asked to do it, or however you want to spell that out. I know we made a lot about the visceral anonymous comments that got put out there by the NFL Network, but I didn't hear a lot of people saying, yeah, that doesn't sound right. Clearly there were some problems in terms of how he carried himself into meetings. And I think that's ultimately what caused the slide. We can talk about how Cleveland ended up taking him in a little bit, but at least in terms of the slide, I do think it was some of the football stuff, limited athletic profile that maybe not all teams liked. But then I think a lot of it was just what, transpired in the lead up to this. Remember, he didn't work out the combine either. And, late pro day, late private workouts. I think he only did one private workout with the Giants. I don't think he did a private workout with any other team. So really rough process. And I would hope in the future, and, I'm sure Shedeur learned something from this, but I would hope in the future other quarterbacks look at this very closely and understand what they're going into with the process.
Now, it's no concrete evidence to point that there was a coordinated effort to blackball or to make him pay. But you just got to think with your logical mind and think about the negative feedback that he got, warranted or not. That raised a lot of questions. Him deciding to not, perform at the combine. I guess he having his own pro day at Colorado to where he could control, the environment or whatever. All of that stuff, man, him being Deion Sanders' son. We know that has a lot to do with it. Because the NFL wants to make him pay. Because how Deion used to act in the league back in the day, they hated it. a lot of the old oligarchy, old NFL timers, they hated Deion's attitude, man. It's similar to the YNs is doing what they do today. Deion was on that same thing back then. But the thing with Deion is that I've never seen a man lock down an entire field by himself, an entire half a field by himself. He's the inventor and definition of a shutdown corner. There was no shutdown corner before Deion Sanders. Maybe Mel Blount, maybe him. But other than that, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it, man. But Deion, here, and let me get to this because this could be a long discussion. I kind of feel bad for Shedeur because of Deion, because no matter what the outcome is with Shedeur Sanders, if he, becomes, a great quarterback, if he becomes a solid starter, if he doesn't even make it in the league that long, he's always going to be compared to his father. Always. I think that's one of the downfalls in this situation, is that no matter how well or how poor he performs, like we talking about one of the greatest legacies in NFL history. Deion is ranked on many people's list as the greatest NFL player to ever play. Definitely one of the greatest defender to ever play, greatest cornerback to ever play. Deion has a monstrous legacy, but Shedeur is never going to be able to live up to that. But then I'm like, maybe it's not about that with them. Maybe it's about just excellence within the Sanders family. And here's the thing I love about Shedeur is that he ain't got to do this. He don't have to play football. And that's a very, very, very good trait when you want to. That speaks a lot about your character, how you built. You got something to prove. But he don't have to play football. He can go work with Pops. They could all do their whole little thing, man. They could have reality TV. They could do whatever they wanted to do in the Sanders household. So he doesn't need to play football. But now he got something to prove. But y'all, let's be real though, real quick. Let's be real about Shedeur Sanders. Now, look, man, these NFL teams make a whole lot of money off of individual players. Shedeur Sanders is definitely going to be one of them. So they didn't necessarily want to miss that train if he was worthy of being a first-round quarterback. Okay? Now, the mock drafts earlier that I talked about, and everybody had him slated to go at least in the first or second round. They did. But he was doing things that Patrick Mahomes could do. He was doing things that maybe Patrick is a bad example because he wasn't such a great quarterback. But hell, Shedeur Sanders wasn't a great quarterback in college. He was cool. He was all right. He had Travis Hunter. So maybe I can't compare Patrick Mahomes to him. Patrick for sure was definitely going in the first round. But you didn't see Patrick Mahomes acting like that. He participated in the combine. He did all of the pre-draft stuff. He wasn't messing up in the interview. Y'all, Shedeur Sanders was f***ing up in them interviews, y'all. He was bullshitting them interviews, y'all. Let's be honest. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. All right? Some of you would too. All right? I'm getting drafted. And my daddy is Deion Sanders. Come on, y'all. Y'all know it might have been a little bit of that, dog. He didn't do his homework all the way, probably. I ain't seen nobody really, besides people in the Sanders camp, I haven't seen people in the NFL refute any of these reports, by the way. I'm not saying that they all, we don't know if they true. I wasn't there. You wasn't there. Okay? But, dog, come on, y'all. Let's keep it real. Keep it real, dog. He was bullshitting in them interviews. Come on, man. You done bullshit in an interview or two in your life. I have. It is what it is, man. Especially if you feel like you got it like that. And you feel like, I don't have to be here. Who are y'all? I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. I understand that. I get that. And he's full of that. But there's a consequence to that. There's a consequence to all of our actions that we have. And Shedeur just got to take this. This is the thing, man. He's drafted. He's in there. He's on the team. Jersey's selling like hotcakes. All right? Shedeur Sanders, the 5th round pick. So he has an opportunity. It don't matter when you're drafted as long as you're drafted. And he has an opportunity to be what he says he is all the time. Legendary. And if he's built anything like his pops, Cleveland got him a hell of a quarterback on their hands.